Hi guys, Chris here for Drums Bonedo. Those of you who have always wanted to follow in the footsteps of John Bonham might be tempted by this Ludwig Continental kit with a 26-inch bass drum. The Continental line is a relatively new series from the iconic US brand, which is produced in Taiwan and offered exclusively to the European market. The kits should be of particular interest to fans of blues, classic rock, stoner and all kinds of other retro-inspired styles. Our review kit, which is priced at €13.99, consists of the shell sizes 26 by 14 inch bass drum, 12 by 8 tom and a 16 by 16 floor tom. We also got the matching 14 by 6.5 snare, which is priced at €389. All of the drums were provided by Ludwig Drums Europe. You can also get sets with a 13 by 9 or 14 by 10 as the smallest tom. Configurations with a second 18-inch floor tom or a 24 by 14 or 22 by 16 bass drum are also available. Our test kit is finished in green sparkle, which of course immediately brings to mind the legendary John Bonham. In terms of hardware, the set includes 3 floor tom legs and a single tom holder with ball joint and L-arm, which you can attach to an existing cymbal or tom stand. The package also includes a Vibraband suspension system for the smallest tom, which attaches to 4 screws on the upper hoop. The hoops of toms and snare are 2.3mm thick triple flange steel hoops, which, like the rest of the hardware, are chrome plated. All drums are fitted with the smaller classic lugs and the toms have brackets from the Atlas series. Nevertheless, the kit, especially the massive looking bass drum, is pleasingly lightweight. The shells are made of maple with an inner core of agate wood and have a fully rounded bearing edge which immediately catches the eye. With this kind of edge, the drum heads have a really solid contact surface on the fairly thick 7.2mm shells. This reminds me directly of the 60s Ludwigs that I had under my sticks in the past. And quite a few people claim that the legendary Fat Ludwig sound is mainly produced by the shape of the edge. The single-ply clear tom heads come from Remo's Taiwan branch UT. As I mentioned, the entire set and of course the hardware, which is also used on the USA drums, is manufactured in Taiwan. Both heads on the 26 by 14 bass drum are pre-damped with a ring. All in all, the set makes a good impression for its mid-range price, but the quality control could be improved in terms of the details. When I first set it up, I had problems getting the lower part of the bass drum telescopic legs out. Also, some of the wrap edges are not cut particularly even in some places, which is not noticeable with the heads installed but shouldn't happen in this price range. So before we get into the sound files, a few words about the snare. The Continental snare has 8 lugs and is also equipped with round edges on top and bottom. The snare beds have been cut quite simple and flat over the bearing edge, and the snare wires are also very simple steel model, as we already know it from many other Ludwig snares. As already mentioned, the snare drum is only available in this 14 by 6.5 size. For the first tuning you just heard, I tuned the set quite high. In my experience, such large drums benefit from this. The toms sound round and warm, but have enough body and tonality. Unless you are going for a more muffled sound, you can actually play them without any damping at all. Inexperienced drum tuners are likely to achieve much quicker results here than on thin, sharp-edged maple shells, which naturally produce far more overtones. Even if the 12-inch tom seems a little tiny in relation to the 26-inch bass drum, it can be adjusted to a comfortable height and also has enough volume and tuning range at the bottom, so that I didn't miss a more classic 13x9 tom here. Out of the 26-inch bass drum, which I play with an unported resonant head, a mixture of deep bass and kick comes thumping towards me. A completely different air mass is moved here in comparison to a normal, let's say 22-inch bass drum, which I also noticed in my pedal technique. So I had to adjust it slightly to avoid unwanted double strokes. The Continental snare drum also sounds amazingly good despite the rudimentary snare beds and the cheap wires. It responds crisply and sounds very pleasant under the microphone and in the room. There are certainly snares that are louder or have more attack, but if you like it a little more moderate but still full-bodied, you could find the right instrument with a clear retro touch here, which in contrast to the USA wooden snares is also quite affordable. For the upcoming second part of the Soundfiles, I tuned the bass drum and the toms lower, and I also placed a pillow in front of the bass drum resonant head to get a bit of a drier kick sound. The toms are now fitted with 2-ply coated Emperor heads from Remo, and I put an Ambassador coated head on the snare. The set is also a lot of fun in lower tuning. With a branded head it gets a bit more attack and depth, and the snare drum gains a bit more freshness and punch with the coated Ambassador head. So here's my conclusion. If you are looking for a set with an extra big bass drum and a clear retro sound but don't want to spend a lot of money, the Continental line offers an affordable and very good sounding alternative. The shells sound rich and warm with their completely rounded edges, produce the typical fat Ludwig character that once made the brand so famous. The drums can be tuned very easily and to a fairly high range, and as I mentioned before, they have naturally reduced overtones, which is very useful for recordings or live playing. There's a whole range of shell sets in a total of 4 colors to choose from. Unfortunately, apart from the 14-inch snare drum, no individual drums are currently available. And when it comes to quality control, cleaner wrap edges and sticky telescopic bass drum legs, Ludwig could definitely improve here. So that's it for today. If you liked the video, please feel free to hit the thumbs up button. You can write a comment how you like the set, and if you're interested in checking out the Continental drums, you can scan this code or check out the links in the video description below. I hope to see you next time. Until then, bye!